The problem with all these bikes is that they just do not hold their value. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I think today is going to be a long one. I've got quite a lot of things on my mind and it's still early in the morning, 7:48. I went for a quick spin today, saw a few people I recognized, and yeah, it was pretty good. Easy ride until Esplanade, where you got a group of guys passed me, and then I tagged on, and then one guy sprinted and I took the bait. So it was meant to be a recovery ride, but I think I kind of ruined it. Anyway, I was riding home and there's this guy that I saw, well, I recognized because I saw him often. Gosh, that was a mouthful. Anyway, I never got to know his name. I just knew him as the guy who walked with his Whippet. Whippet is a kind of dog, very cute black and white Whippet. And my dogs would always sort of communicate, you know, bark around. And for the last few times I saw him over the last few weeks, I noticed that he was just walking alone with his coffee cup. And so I stopped and I said, hey mate, how are you? Where's your dog? And he looked sad. And I was thinking, oh gosh, what has happened? And unfortunately his dog passed away over Christmas. For the first time I got to formally introduce myself. We had a chat and it was a really good chat, but yeah, never expected that to happen. I thought maybe he'd walked the dog already and just gone out for a second walk, but well, things happen sometimes very, very surprisingly, and my heart goes out to him. For all of you, for parents like myself, you know, yeah, dogs basically part of the family, and when a dog passes away, it's a very sad thing. Yeah, so Jimmy, if you're watching this, yeah, well, we'll see whether you get a new dog, hey? Okay, what has happened in the last 24 hours? Quite a lot. But before I go into the exciting bit of the 24 hours where I was sent a car that I'm going to be driving for a little bit, Alicia has been on a streak. For those of you who don't know, Alicia's my better half, or I call it the missus, and she used to hate riding indoors. In fact, she stopped for quite a few weeks because she was on, I think it was Trainer Road. Yeah, Trainer Road. And if you've used Trainer Road before, it just gives you a training plan with a whole pile of numbers, and it can be very boring. People would usually pair up Trainer Road with a movie or a podcast, and that would usually be it. You'd be riding to numbers, and yeah, that's basically it. Actually a month or 2 months ago now, yeah, I got her onto ROUVY, and it's been a game changer for her. It's similar to Zwift. So you've got ROUVY, you've got Zwift, you've got MyWhoosh, you've got Training Peaks Virtual. There are quite a lot of different riding gamified experiences. But ROUVY stands out apart from the rest of them because ROUVY actually has real roads. In fact, if you really wanted to, you could you could ride the Perth River Loop and upload it, and anyone around the world would be able to ride the Perth River Loop. Or for example, let's say you really love the Papa's Boxing Day ride, and you're training for that group ride. Yeah, if you rode the course or the route or the National Championships course, you could literally ride it. Even the Criterium course, upload it and you could ride it on ROUVY. So ROUVY has been a bit of a game changer. It's made her more excited, given her a new motivation. They even have like virtual riders who ride along with you to motivate you to ride, which I find pretty cool. And the graphics are pretty good as well. The cool thing is that ROUVY's given me to give to you, VeloFam. I'm gonna start calling you guys that. Shout out to Teresa, who coined it, VeloFam. I'm gonna give the VeloFam a total of, I think it's 5 weeks or 6 weeks of free ROUVY if you just check the description below. So if you want to try ROUVY and do it for proper time, there's a free trial and you get extra time on top of it at no cost, and you can cancel any time. Give ROUVY a shot. Be like Alicia, who's jumped on and she hasn't missed a beat. Just before walking out today, she just started her workout. So as she's doing it, I know that she's enjoying it and also benefiting from the fitness gains that ROUVY will bring. Okay, so what's next for me is the car. I don't review cars. In fact, I find it funny, me trying to review a car, but I'm not reviewing a car, thankfully. I'm just going to be driving around and living with it. So I'll be sharing with you guys soon what it's like to live with the Cherry Tigo 7 Super Hybrid. It's a plug-in hybrid and it's rather interesting. I remember when Cherry first came out with a car, and that was years ago. It was called the QQ. The Cherry QQ was one of the most laughable cars ever made, I think. I remember seeing a Cherry QQ and going, oh wow, it's a very small and cute little car. The Cherry QQ, however, also had a huge problem. It wasn't very powerful. And I recall seeing this guy. He wasn't that big. I would say about maybe 90 kilos. And he was driving up a slope, and mate, that car was absolutely struggling. It was just him and maybe a lot of bags in the car, but he was absolutely struggling to make it up, the Cherry QQ. So I've never had a good impression of the brand Cherry. However, in the last 5 years, I would say that Cherry has probably improved a lot. In fact, the cars now probably rival like BYD and stuff like that. Good morning.
Morning.
They probably rival like BYD and a lot of other like hybrid or electric cars. So this Tigo 7, I went by to Cherry Melville to pick it up yesterday, and was greeted by the general manager over there, Adrian Wong, and he showed me to the car. I was pretty excited. I mean, who isn't excited when a car company reaches out, right? But my expectations were not really super high. I walked in and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot and I'll see what it's like. But when I saw the car, okay, it's a bit polarizing. Not everyone likes the rear end. I prefer my RAV4's rear end. But overall, the car looks pretty nice. Like, nice. And when I opened the door and I stepped in, I was really blown away. Now, something really interesting about these plug-in hybrids is that there's no start-stop button. So it's a little bit confusing. All my previous cars had like a key ignition from years ago or a start-stop, push start-stop button. My BMWs had them, the Mercedes had it. I only had one Mercedes. What else? My Toyota, our Toyotas have it. Like a purple blue little button you press and the car starts. Okay, so I get into this car and there's absolutely no start-stop button and I'm a little bit confused. But what happens is this: you take the key fob and you unlock the car. When you unlock the car, essentially the car starts. As a plug-in hybrid, you don't really need a start-stop button, I guess, since it's an electric car. The moment you get in, it's on and you can just go on your merry way. So I sit in the car and everything's on, and I was told that the car wouldn't move if the seat belt wasn't on. So that's a pretty cool feature. I'm actually wondering to myself, what happens if you're driving down the road and suddenly release your seat belt? What's gonna happen? Is the car gonna lurch to a halt? I don't know. It might be on my to-do list. Okay, so I get into the car and everything looks oddly familiar in a strange way. There's a huge screen, like panoramic screen in front, digital dashboard display, maps and everything. It almost feels very cinematic. And then the controls, the speaker placements, and I was thinking to myself, this looks like my Merc, like the W205 series or even the latest series of Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Everything looks so similar. Position, the dials, and even the memory seat controls. It looks so similar, it's scary. It's almost as if they lifted the whole design out of a Mercedes-Benz and put it into this Cherry. The seats are really firm. I like my seats firm, just like my saddle, full carbon fiber. And yeah, it was comfortable. So as I sat in the car, I was like, whew, I could get used to this if it's actually reliable. 7-year warranty, all that jazz, But I guess one of the big questions is, will the car hold its resale value? It's just like when you buy a bike. With the Chinese bikes coming into the market, you've got so many brands. You've got the newest S Aura, you've got the In Color, you've got Windspace, you've got Yolio, you've got other brands outside from China like Gusto or Gusto, if you want to pronounce it that way. What other Chinese brands can I think of? Ooh, Alvas, yes, Rock Bros. The problem with all these bikes is that they just do not hold their value. You get them, you pay, fine, you save money on them because they're definitely cheaper than the marquee brands like Pinarello, Villia, Specialized, Trek. If you get one in a full Dura Ace or Factor, you're gonna pay a premium around anything from 18 to over 20,000 Aussie dollars. And so just like that when you buy a premium car, luxury car like a Land Rover, or actually not even luxury, here in Australia if you buy like a Toyota Hilux, it holds its value. If you buy a what else, if you buy a Land Cruiser, it definitely holds its value. I've seen old Land Cruisers still go for ridiculous prices, and well, it basically just holds its value. Even a Mercedes will hold its value a lot better than a cheaper brand. So as with these bikes, imagine buying a beautiful S-Aura or an in-color SSR, one of the latest Chinese ones, or a Windspace, and then after about 3 years you want to sell it off. The value absolutely plummets, and whatever you paid for it, it's probably going to be less than half its value. Just jump onto Facebook Marketplace and you'll see so many bikes just at prices where you go like, oh, that's actually pretty cheap. And with the advent of cheap bikes coming out left, right and center, yeah, literally, like I saw a Merida with the Ultegra Di2 12-speed integrated cockpit and what's that called, carbon wheels, on 99 bikes going for $5,100. Like that's a shockingly low price for a brand new bike, disc brakes and everything at that price. So if you buy for about $5,000 and you ride it for a while, and a few years later, no one's going to pay more than about between $2,000 to $2,500 for your Merida, for your bike. Imagine if it was a Chinese bike, an Alves Windspace Yolio in-color SSR. The price is probably going to be a quarter, like 25%, or at best, I would say 40% of what you paid when you sell it on Marketplace. And so for this Cherry, I was thinking to myself, it might be nice to ride, just like all these Chinese bikes are nice to ride, but because of the badge at the front, chances are it's not going to hold its value. Is the technology there? Yes, it's got fantastic technology, 360 cameras, motorized seats, electric heating, automatic tailgate, nice mag wheels, 5-star ANCAP rating, which is something that I personally always look out for. All the cars I've ever purchased have always had a 5-star ANCAP rating. And what else? All the bells and whistles, literally. You got LiDAR, radar detection, you got lane assist, you've got automatic high beams, lights, and everything you can think of. The car pretty much has it. Even a fully retractable, I think it's called a moonroof, that extends, opens from the driver's front side all the way to the passenger side. So yeah, full glass, it's cool. But will it hold its value, or will the battery die, will the hybrid system die after 7 years? Chances are it would, because most of the other cars usually have problems once it comes up to the 5 to 7 year mark. For Cherry, it's a 7-year warranty, and that's pretty generous. I don't know if there's like a kilometer, because it's usually up to X number of kilometers or X number of years, whichever comes first. I've got to check that. But back to the point on resale value. So the resale value would plummet, and if the resale value is known to plummet, then the whole value of the car and the whole idea of buying it, unless you're a I'm gonna buy this car and keep it for the rest of my life kind of person. Most people wouldn't really buy it, would they? But I think that's one thing to really consider. However, I'm not in a position to do that because I've gotten the car for free. So I'm not forking out money for it. All I'm doing is just living with it and seeing if it suits my lifestyle. What is my lifestyle? Well, daily runs to the shops, going out for the odd photo shoot, and what's pretty cool about this car is that it's plug-in hybrid, so it can run as an electric vehicle for about 100 and 120 kilometers, depending on the temperature, I've been told. So weather dependent, you get about 100 Ks on the battery itself. And if you've got a fast charger, it charges in like an hour or so. If it's overnight, it's like 5 hours or 5.5. So if you're driving less than 100 kilometers, you top up your gas and you apparently have 1,000-kilometer range. Because once the battery hits like 10%, then it runs like a normal hybrid car, where it uses gas and a little bit of the electric motor. It doesn't charge the battery up fully. It goes to maximum around 30%, but you get the picture. It runs like a hybrid, so you still get decent mileage. But if you're only doing small errands here and there, less than 100 kilometers, or if you park at a shopping center where you can plug in and charge, then that's not a problem. It really depends on your lifestyle. For me, I don't really know. I drive more than 100 kilometers at times, but considering it's a hybrid, it could well work out in my favor. With the seats down, it's got like 1,100 liters of space, which is very, very generous. It's got very, very nice boot liner, quality materials. I could put my bike in with no problems, and still lots of room to chuck other stuff in as well. So I did that yesterday, drove around. It was pretty nice. The drive is pretty good too. In fact, I was surprised at the amount of power that the electric motors have. Like, I stepped on the pedal and I went like, whoo, all the way back into my seat. I was like, mate, if this car can do that, what does a Tesla do? Like, I don't know. I haven't ridden in a Tesla, or I haven't driven one. Okay, so yeah, that's what happened yesterday. So I'm pretty excited. I feel very privileged and honored that Cherry Melville have sent me the car to test drive, to demo, to see if it fits my lifestyle, to share my experience with you guys. It's only $38,000, which is wicked cheap for a car that big. 38 is like the price. It's cheaper than 2-factor ones. Put it that way. Cheaper than 2-factor ones. There's a whole lot of car and technology for the price of 2-factor ones, which makes me think that the factor one is a little bit overpriced, or bikes in general are overpriced. Like derailleurs, front derailleurs, rear derailleurs, yeah, wireless, carbon frame, but the seats one, you have some fun on it, but the technology in no way exceeds that of what's put in a car, come to think of it. It's insane how expensive bicycles have become. I wonder why. And it's really got to me thinking, actually, when I look at the prices of cars right now, especially cars like the Cherry Tigo 7 Super Hybrid. It's like top spec. So you can get it from as cheap as like 30,000, and then it goes up depending on what bells and whistles you want. But bicycles, why are bicycles so darn expensive? I can't put my finger on it. Dura-Ace Di2 probably costs, well, you can get it for about 4 grand. I'm talking as a customer, not as a wholesaler, okay? So if you're not a shop, you don't get trade price and stuff like that, you could probably get Dura-Ace Di2 for about 4 grand if you shop at the right places, if you know the right people, or maybe even a little bit less. So that's $4,000. $4,000, you get a top spec wheel set. Let's say on sale, you pay another 4 grand, that's 8 grand. You get the frame set. Yeah, you could spend about 4 to 5 grand on a frame set. Let's say you get a really good one, top spec, 7 grand for a top spec frame. That's 15 grand. What else do you still need? You got the frame, you got the group set, you got the wheels. That's pretty much everything. But you still do have the bells and whistles. So if you go for power meter pedals or power meter, let's say circa 1 grand, that brings it up to 16. What else do you need? You need a saddle. Let's assume that the frame set has come with a seat post and cockpit. So a saddle, let's say you go all out and buy a crazy good saddle, $500, 16.5. You still need to pay for your build and the hoses and everything, all the miscellaneous stuff like bar tape, name stickers, because you want the whole world to know your name on the bike, just like how the pros do it. Let's put miscellaneous, the build and everything else at $1,000, so 17. And so there you go, $17,000. Actually, maybe a little bit more, because you will need tires. And tires are actually, yeah, as expensive as car tires really, which is also ridiculous, I find, because car tires have a lot more technology going into it than a bike tire. This is funny. So let's say 17.5 gets you that ultimate build. And for 17.5, you could get a really nice used car. How times have changed. That is really funny. Okay. From my last video, yeah, the missus wanted me to clear out my kit. And so I will be looking at the kit that I have, and I realized that I've got lots of bib shorts, and some of the bib shorts I think I'll be keeping them strictly for indoor use because they're a little bit worn, they don't look great, and so I think I'll keep that. But I've got to ask, do people even buy used bibs? Like, I'm not talking about people with fetishes, I'm talking about people who buy used bibs because they're cheaper. If you do, comment below. Because I personally can't see myself buying a used pair of bibs, because you don't wear underwear down there, you know, and your nether regions get rubbed all over the chamois, and no matter how much you wash, someone else's nuts or lips have rubbed itself all over the chamois, and that's a little bit gross. Okay. Yep, so back to the jerseys. I think I will be listing some of them on my Instagram channel to give away or sell away at maybe just a small amount, $10, $20 for some coffee money. So if you're my size, a small or extra small, you'll be able to find some good deals pretty soon. So that's pretty much been my last 24 hours. Yeah, it's been good. I've got a few things to do today and this weekend. Maybe I'll see you guys out on the road. Looking forward to catching up with more people, having more fun rides, adventures, and also vlogging. Thanks for staying all the way. It's been about half an hour, and yeah, it's been great to be able to accompany you today. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.